just want to let you guys know this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. If you need to talk to a licensed therapist, be sure to visit BetterHelp. And when you sign up, visit betterhelp.com/juice today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/juice. Be sure to do that, guys. Your well-being is worth it.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, we have officially come upon day 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft. Rounds 2 and 3 commence today, and we're going to talk about some of the prospects that the Indianapolis Colts could be looking at. We have a better understanding of the draft board now and what it looks like going into the start of day 2. A lot of names still available here early. Again, this was a situation where Schefter and a bunch of other people were telling everyone picks 20 to about 60. There are a lot of names that are very interchangeable. So some guys you thought wouldn't go until late second, early third, they might get taken early here in this second round, because some people might think there's a guy that's available that they don't think is going to be available come that third draft pick. So they want to take advantage of it while they can.
Yeah.
So be prepared for a wild second round. It happens a lot. I mean, even last year, Cody, we saw where like 6 people of a certain position would go off the board at random.
Yeah.
And it would throw the whole draft board off like crazy. So be prepared for that today, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cody, who are some of the top prospects that you're looking at if you're the Indianapolis Colts right now, thinking about who they might go here?
Yeah, so there's definitely some guys that I thought might be first rounders. There's a few guys that I absolutely thought were going to be first rounders that are still sitting here. You can start with Will Johnson. I mean, what a meteoric fall for him, right? Like, everybody thought that he was going to be potentially a top 10, top 15 pick by a lot of metrics, right? Especially for a team like Miami, who desperately needs a corner. Like, you thought that, but they did pass on him. And even you saw a little bit later, I believe it was the Buffalo Bills, they elected to take Maxwell Hairston ahead of Will Johnson. So,
and even all these other corners.
Yeah, there's a lot of corners that have been off the board ahead of him. So it's like, okay, what's up with the medical? There's got to be something there that's turned off a number of teams.
And from what we have heard, and it could very well not be true, but from what I have heard, is that the knee issue for him is chronic. So remember, guys, he went out halfway through this last season at Michigan and was having knee problems. And supposedly what they think is that this is going to be a potential problem for him throughout the remainder of his career. It could very well not be. It could not impact him for several years. But at some point, a lot of people are thinking that as he gets more knee problems, it is only going to impact him as a problem. And obviously, if your knees start giving out, regardless of what position you play, that is a really tough thing to deal with as a football player.
Sure. So, yeah, that would be one. And again, certain teams might, there were certain teams that needed other positions, like the Colts needed a tight end.
Yeah.
So that might be why they passed on him. But for the teams that needed a corner, they may have been teams that were out for whatever, issue is. So however the Colts view him, if they feel like it's a potential thing there, I could see that being a pick, even though, Derek, it's not, necessarily a position of need per se. I mean, Will Johnson's a fantastic player when healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, he has that top 10 ability to be that if he can be healthy. So if the medicals check out and he's still sitting there at 45, it'd be very tempting to take him and bet that he will, come around and he will be fine.
Yes.
Also, a couple other guys that I'll point out as well, just at corner. We'll start at corner here. Siobhan Ravel is still there out of East Carolina. I know he dealt with some injuries as well. That's why he's here. Benjamin Morrison as well would be a guy out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I think Derek, if he didn't get hurt last year, he would have been a bona fide first-round pick. You got Trey Amos, who I thought would maybe go in the first round, maybe like Buffalo or somebody like that. And then, those are some of the guys in that area. You got Zaire Thomas as well out of Florida State. So there are some potential guys that could have gone in the first round that are still available at corner, which is definitely interesting. You have Mike Green still available,
Yes.
has all this off-field stuff, but
I know
the talent is undeniable.
Yeah.
I mean, if Mike Green's there, you need an edge. That
Yes.
would be a slam dunk if somehow he falls. Nick Amon-Wari's still there. You got Donovan Ezeraku as well, who's sitting there. Heck, you got Darius Alexander out of Toledo, more interior there. You still got, guys like, Travion Henderson still available as well. So many other guys I feel like you could talk about as well, like Shamar Turner could be one as well. There was a big run on offensive linemen last night, so there's not a ton of guys here.
It was last year's draft. It was like defensive tackles that made a quick jump in this. So it's like you're gonna see. I think in this and early in this, you're going to see a major jump in wide receivers and corners. I think you're going to see a lot of those guys come off the board early in this.
Well, there's just a ton of defensive players available. There's a ton of corners. There's a ton of defensive linemen. And that bodes well, especially in the defensive line front for the Indianapolis Colts. So, I would be totally good with that for the Colts there to go that route, especially if they can find a first-round talent at edge in the second round. That would be amazing if they could do that. If a guy stays available there for them, that would make some sense there. So, there's a ton of guys. I mean, heck, I know it's not a need, but Luther Burden's still there as well.
I know.
Wide receiver out of Missouri.
I got to imagine he's going to go off the board very early. Probably. I know the Donovan Ezeraku move is definitely one that a lot of people are very interested in. Shout out to Jay Robbins. I'm stealing this from you, but I'm giving you credit for this. Jay Robbins bringing this up on Twitter that the reason he would have Ezeraku over Johnson and Green is because, again, you have red flags when it comes to Mike Green and Will Johnson. There's no red flags when you're thinking about Ezeraku.
Sure.
Will Johnson with the medicals, Mike Green with the allegations that are against him currently.
Yeah, but again, we only know what we know.
Right.
The Colts know a lot more. These teams know a lot more. So, if the Colts deem it worthy to take the risk on the talent, I wouldn't fault them at all.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I will trust whatever move they make with that. But, again, Ezeraku is another guy at the edge that, again, a lot of people thought could be a first rounder for sure.
I saw him as early as mid-round first. Like, I saw him mid-first rounder for some people in some mock drafts and stuff.
And in some other – and this is another position group that I feel like we're going to take a look at here. Some of the best linebackers available right now is Carson Schweisinger is still there. I think you and I have kind of bounced his name around a lot in that second round that the Colts could potentially go with. Demetrius Knight Jr., another name there as well. There's a bunch of linebackers that go up and down
Chris
this
Paul,
list.
that's been a name.
Paul Jr., Barrett Carter later on, maybe.
Jack Kaiser, probably more of a day 3 pick.
Yeah, he would probably be more of a day 3
I would like
guy.
that in round 4 or 5.
I would not mind a Jack Kaiser in the third round, like fourth or fifth round.
Probably 4th or 5th,
because Kaiser is a very smart player.
Yeah.
So obviously we've talked about linebacker, we've talked about edge, we've talked about corner, mainly because you said it before, with the Tyler Warren pick, you don't feel now like you need to really go out of your way to get an offensive skill player.
No.
Because you feel like you're very comfortable with the skill players that you have right now.
Yeah.
As far as offensive line goes, there's not a lot of tackles that I would take in day 2 right now, to be honest with you, Cody.
Specifically third round or second round.
Yeah. I would say 4th or 5th round.
Okay.
There is a lot of guys in that area that I would be personally comfortable if the Colts were taking a tackle. I would take in that early day 3. Now, as far as guards go, though, a couple names that get brought up for me.
Ones.
Tate Ratledge, Miles Frazier, Wyatt Milam. Those kinds of names are in this day 2. If the Colts can come away with one of those guys if that's the direction they want to go in, then those are guys that I think if you plug them in right now could be day one starters for the Indianapolis Colts if they were going to be the guard going forward.
Yeah,
honestly.
No doubt. There's a lot of better interior offensive linemen at this point, for sure.
Yeah.
And I would probably look, to be honest, in the third round, unless there's a guy you just cannot avoid.
Yeah.
Like, he's sitting there, but
it depends how the board falls. It depends how the board falls. If they start seeing a bunch of offensive linemen get taken early, then you might need to jump on that. But like I said, if wide receivers and corners start and these skill players start going off the board early in day two, then you might be able to afford to wait later for offensive linemen in this third round.
Yeah, like you said, that's a luxury you have because you don't feel locked into any of these skill players. Like you're good if these skill players go off the board because it's not a need for you right now, which is definitely something I didn't think we'd be saying. But here we are. That's the luxury of getting a Tyler Warren. Like you're good at tight end, you're good at wide receiver, running back you can get a little bit later.
Yeah.
Really the only thing on offense is offensive line.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. Honestly, is just a starter at guard. That's what I'm looking for. Got to go in there and compete at guard or tackle. That's all.
And even if, and you know what? And even if Matt Gonsalves is going to be the right guard of the future, and Braden Smith is going to stay at right tackle for at least a year, maybe two, you still need to get that depth at that spot. You need to get guys that are going to fill that need. So no doubt, guys, look for offensive linemen for the Indianapolis Colts in this day two. They will probably be looking for someone. And then again, for the second round, who knows? They might go best player available. They might go linebacker if that's the situation they feel they need to go into. I will tell you this, man. I mean, there is a lot of names here that are going to deter a lot of teams from taking people in positions of need for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling very excited about that.
Well, let's just pull up. I mean, we know the tight ends. Mason Taylor's still available. We got Elijah Arroyo as well. You have a guy like even Terrence Ferguson. Could he potentially sneak into day two? So those are at least three guys right there. You don't know about guys like Gunnar Helm, Harold Fannin, even like some guys that could be day two picks as well.
Yeah.
So you look at that right there, Derek. That's 5 tight ends that could get drafted on day two. Which is definitely huge there. And then looking at wide receiver, I mentioned Luther Burden. Can we pull that up?
Yep.
I mentioned Luther Burden. Jaden Higgins is still out there.
Jaden Higgins.
Trey Harris as well. So there's a lot of wide receivers here that I think realistically could also go here in day two, which is great for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
I mean, that's just more, picks that they don't need, more players they don't necessarily need right now to push some of those players they do need. Here.
It's too bad this wide receiver class wasn't stronger.
Yeah.
Because then, that would be so great for us because we don't need one right now.
It's still, I mean, like the top wasn't great.
The top 4 guys that are available from ESPN standards, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, Luther Burden, Jalen Knoll, I legitimately think all 4 of those guys will go in the second round.
Well, one other thing as well, that just made me think of this. I don't know why. The quarterback. Shador Sanders is still available.
Yep.
I would think he'd go today. Tyler Show's gotten some high hype.
Jalen Milroe, Will Howard.
Quinn Ewers. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but what if he does go, round 3 or something like that?
Yeah.
Like there are some guys that legitimately, I could argue 4 or 5 guys here at quarterback that could go today. Will they all go? Maybe not, but they could. And, when looking specifically at what the Colts also need, talking about like corner, there's some guys still available there if the Colts want to go that route, or if they're like, nope, we're good at corner. Some of those guys are going to go also. So that makes some sense there for them. So if you're focusing on the Colts needs right now, offensive line, linebacker, edge, interior defensive line, and maybe another DB. But really, you're kind of like, that's just primarily for depth at this point, right?
Yeah.
So, or just competition. So, yeah, you're all this to say, Colts have a lot of options, and they have the option here to be flexible.
Yes. Yeah. And you mentioned it earlier this morning, the opportunity for the Indianapolis Colts to trade back.
They can.
Because they feel like in this day two, there are so many players that they feel, hey, maybe if we trade back a few picks, maybe we can acquire an additional third.
Yeah.
And then
Easily.
be like, hey, maybe with that second pick that we have, we can afford to jump on a player that maybe isn't the biggest position of need, but the best player available on our board.
Yeah.
And then with those third picks, start getting the pieces where the positions of need really need them.
Yeah, well, Ballard hinted at it, joking, but
joking.
There probably is some era of truth there.
You know for a fact that man has definitely brought up the idea of trading.
He's
back.
even mentioned the depth in this draft. You've heard it ad nauseum at this point. How deep this class is. You mentioned it at the top of the episode. Like, there's guys legitimately day 2 here that could be day 1 starters. So if you're Indianapolis and you get another 3rd round pick somehow, and you have 3 chances at the dartboard here, and you feel like there's not this drastic change, right? Say there's a team that wants to go up and get a player that you're like, we don't necessarily need that position. You can go and get a 3rd round pick. You could get 3 guys that could push for time.
Yeah.
And Ballard has talked about it all offseason. We need competition in this room. I look at different positions that need competition. Yeah, obviously, there's a couple that need some starters. But also some positions that need competition, specifically looking at, defensive line, specifically looking at safety. You need another depth guy there.
Linebacker.
I mentioned that. That's more of a starter in my mind.
Yeah, starter and
he's
depth,
probably going to compete with Jalen Carlisle nonetheless.
Yeah.
Running back obviously would be another one. Offensive line. So there's a lot of ways to add that quote-unquote competition, right?
Yep. So needless to say, guys, there's going to be a lot here. Day 2 is going to be interesting for the Indianapolis Colts. But the vibes are good here right now. We got Tyler Warren. That one was the most stressful one. Not really feeling much of the stress today. It's more of just going to be excited with whoever the Indianapolis Colts decide to go with here. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts on what you think the Colts will do in this day 2. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much. And as always, go Colts. What's going on, everybody? Just wanted to say this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Guys, everyone wants to try to take care of their bodies and do the best that they can to help take care of themselves. But that also starts with your mind as well. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And of course, when you're doing potential therapy, in-person therapy can cost anywhere up to $100 to $250 per session, guys. That number can add up very quickly. But with BetterHelp, you can save on average up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you can pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, which can help you save on costs and time as well. Therapy should feel accessible, guys, not a luxury. You should be able to talk to someone the way you want to, when you want to. With online therapy, you can get quality care at a price that makes sense for you. Regardless, guys, if you have ever been in therapy or not, it is important to be able to get everyday stresses and sometimes even traumas that we experience off our chest and be able to talk to someone and go through those stresses. You know, your mental health is super important. We're all dealing with something. So take advantage and be able to get ahead of what might be bothering you. Remember, guys, your well-being is worth it, and it's now within reach. Visit betterhelp.com/juice today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/juice.